Henry, Gordon and James were shut up for several days. At last, the Fat Controller opened the shed.
I hope that you are sorry and understand that you are not so important after all. We have a new tank engine called Percy. He is a smart little green engine with 4 wheels. Percy has helped to pull the coaches, and Thomas and Edward have worked the main line very nicely while you have been away. But I will let you out now if you promise to be good.
Yes, sir, we will. Yes, sir, we will.
That's right, but please remember that this no shunting nonsense must stop.
Yes, please, sir. He told Edward, Thomas and Percy that they could go and play on the branch line for a few days. They ran off happily and found Annie and Clarabel at the junction. The 2 coaches were so pleased to see Thomas again, and he took them for a run at once. Edward and Percy played with trucks.
Stop, stop, stop!
Screamed the trucks as they were pushed into the proper sidings. But the 2 engines laughed and went on shunting till the trucks were tidily arranged. Next, Edward took some empty trucks to the quarry, and Percy was left alone. Percy didn't mind that a bit. He liked watching trains and being cheeky to the engines. Hurry, 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 he would call to them. Gordon, Henry and James got very cross. After a while, he took some trucks over the main line to another siding. When they were tidy, he ran on to the main line again and waited for the signalman to set the point so that he could cross back to the yard. Edward had warned Percy.
Look, be careful, Percy, on the main line. Whistle to tell the signalman that you're there.
But Percy didn't remember to whistle, and the signalman was so busy and forgot Percy. Bells rang in the signal box. The man answered, saying the line was clear, and set the signals for the next train. Percy waited and waited. The points were still against him. He looked along the main line. Peep, peep, he whistled in horror, for rushing straight towards him was Gordon with the express.
Oh, get out of my way! Get out of my way! Oh!
Percy opened his eyes. Gordon had stopped with Percy's buffers a few inches from his own. But Percy had begun to move. I won't stay here, I'll run away. He was soon clear of the station and running as fast as he could. He went through Edward's station whistling loudly and was so frightened that he ran right up Gordon's hill without stopping. He was tired then and wanted to stop, but he couldn't. He had no driver to shut off steam and to apply the brakes. I shall have to run till my wheels wear out, he thought sadly. Oh dear, I want to stop, I want to stop. He puffed in a tired sort of way. He passed another signal box.
I know just what you want, little Percy,
called the man kindly. He set the points, and Percy puffed wearily on to a nice empty siding, ending in a big bank of earth. Percy was too tired now to care where he went. I want to stop, I want to stop, I have stopped, he puffed thankfully as his bunker buried itself in the bank.
Never mind, Percy. You shall have a drink and some coal, and then you'll feel better.
Oh, well done, Percy. You know, you started so quickly that you stopped a nasty accident.
I'm sorry I was cheeky, said Percy. You were clever to stop.
What's the matter, Henry? There's no rain today. Stop worrying and do some work instead.
I'm not afraid of getting wet anymore. Anyway, you look silly enough to be a clown. You should join the circus.
Oh, so you've heard the news about the circus. Percy, what are you talking about? The circus has arrived. I've been shunting special trucks. The Fat Controller needs your help too. The engine soon forgot to be tired and cross. Until it was time for the circus to leave. Then Gordon and Henry were cross all over again when James got to pull the train away.
However, they soon forgot about the animals, as they had plenty of work to do.
A little later, the Fat Controller returned.
Come along, Henry. The tunnel is blocked down the line. You must take some workmen to investigate.
Pushing cars, grumbled Henry.
They stopped outside the tunnel. The workmen went inside.
No daylight shone from the other end.
It was very dark and quiet, but not for long. Shouted the workmen, and they ran out.
We went to the block and started to dig, but it grunted and moved.
Rubbish.
It's not rubbish. It's big and alive. We're not going in there again.
Right, I'll ride in a truck and Henry shall push it out.
Whee! Said Henry unhappily. He had been shut in the tunnel for being afraid of the rain, but this was worse. Something big and alive was inside.
Peep, peep. I don't want to go in.
We must clear the line.
Oh dear,
Puffed Henry.
Henry's driver shut off steam at once. Help! Help! We're going back! Henry, and slowly moving out into the daylight came first Henry, then the trucks, and last of all, pushing hard and rather cross, came a large elephant.
Well, I never did. It's an elephant from the circus.
Henry's driver put on his brakes, and a man ran to telephone for the keeper. The elephant stopped pushing and came towards them. They gave him some sandwiches and cake, so he forgot he was cross and remembered he was hungry.
He drank 3 buckets of water and was just about to drink another when Henry let off steam. Oh! Cried the elephant. Water went all over Henry. Poor Henry. The elephant and his keeper were soon reunited, but Henry was most upset.
an elephant pushed me. An elephant hooshed me.
What's the matter, Henry? There's no rain today. Stop worrying and do some work instead.
I suffer dreadfully and no one cares.
Rubbish, Henry. You don't work hard enough. Henry was bigger than James, but smaller than Gordon. Sometimes he could pull trains. Sometimes he had no strength at all. The Fat Controller spoke to him.
What's wrong with you, Henry? You have had lots of new parts and new paint too, but they've done you no good. If we can't make you better, we must get another engine instead of you to do the work.
This made Henry, his driver, and his fireman very sad. The Fat Controller was waiting when Henry came to the platform. He had taken off his hat and coat and put on overalls. He climbed to the footplate and Henry started.
Henry is a bad steamer. I build up his fire, but it doesn't give enough heat.
Henry tried very hard, but it was no good. He had not enough steam, and they stopped outside Edward Station.
Oh dear, I shall have to go away. Oh dear, oh dear.
Edward took charge of the train. Henry stopped behind.
What do you think is wrong, fireman?
Excuse me, sir, but the coal is wrong. We've had a poor lot lately, and today it's worse. The other engines can manage. They have big fireboxes. Henry's is small and can't make the heat. With Welsh coal, he'd be a different engine.
It's expensive, but Henry must have a fair chance. James shall go and fetch some.
When the Welsh coal came, Henry's driver and fireman were excited.
Now we'll show them, Henry, old fellow.
They carefully oiled all his joints and polished his brass till it shone like gold. His fire had already been lit, so the fireman made it carefully. He put large lumps of coal like a wall round the outside. Then he covered the glowing middle part with smaller lumps.
You're spoiling my fire.
Wait and see. We'll have a roaring fire just when we want it.
He was right. When Henry reached the platform, the water was boiling nicely, and he had to let off steam to show how happy he was. He made such a noise that the Fat Controller came out to see him.
How are you, Henry?
I feel fine.
Have you a good fire, driver?
Never better, sir, and plenty of steam.
No record breaking. Don't push him too hard.
Henry won't need pushing, sir. I'll have to hold him back.
Henry had a lovely day. He had never felt so well in his life.
Looking down from the heavens, smiling at the silly things we put ourselves through, missing magic each day and not seeing the wonder. That's how you must feel.
Steady, old fellow. There's plenty of time.
They arrived early at the junction.
Where have you been, lazy bones? Oh, I can't wait for dawdling tank engines like you. Goodbye.
Whoosh! Have you ever seen anything like it? Henry was very happy. With his new Welsh coal, he could work as hard as the other engines. Then one day, Henry had a crash, and the Fat Controller sent him to be mended. Workmen gave Henry a brand new shape and a bigger firebox, so he wouldn't need special coal anymore. Now Henry is so splendid and strong, he sometimes pulls the express. One lovely Saturday morning, Henry was puffing along. The sun shone, the fields were green, the birds sang. Henry had plenty of steam in his boiler, and he was feeling happy.
I feel so well. I feel so well.
Trickety-trock, trickety-trock.
Henry saw some boys on a bridge.
Beep, beep. Hello.
But the boys didn't wave and take his number. They dropped stones on him instead. They were silly, stupid boys who thought it would be fun to drop stones down his funnel. Some of the stones hit Henry's boiler and spoilt his paint. One hit the fireman on the head as he was shoveling coal, and others broke the carriage windows.
They've broken our glass! They've broken our glass!
Sobbed the coaches. His driver opened the first aid box, bandaged the fireman's head, and planned what he was going to do. They stopped the train and the guard asked if any of the passengers were hurt. No one was hurt, but everyone was cross. They saw the fireman's bumped head and told him what to do for it. And they looked at Henry's paint.
Call the police!
They shouted angrily.
No, leave it to Henry and me. We'll teach those lads a lesson.
What will you do?
Can you keep a secret?
Yes, they...
Well then, Henry is going to sneeze at them.
What?
Henry draws in air through his fire and puffs it out with smoke and steam. When he puffs hard, the air blows ashes from his fire into his smoke box, and these ashes sometimes prevent him puffing properly. When your nose is blocked, you sometimes sneeze. If Henry's smoke box is blocked, I can make air and steam blow the ashes out through his funnel. We will do it at the bridge and startle those boys.
Henry puffed on to the terminus where he had a rest. Then he took the train back. Lots of people were waiting at the station just before the bridge. They wanted to see what would happen.
Henry has plenty of ashes. Please keep all windows shut till we have passed the bridge. Henry is as excited as we are, aren't you, old fellow?
Henry didn't answer. He was feeling stuffed up, but he winked at his driver. The guard's flag waved, his whistle blew, and they were off. Soon, in the distance, they saw the bridge. There were the boys, and they all had stones.
Are you ready, Henry? Sneeze hard when I tell you. Now,
he said, and turned the handle. Teacher! Smoke and steam and ashes spouted from his funnel. They went all over the bridge and all over the boys who ran away as black as soot.
Well done, Henry. They won't drop stones on engines again. Your coat is all black, but we'll rub you down and paint your scratches and you'll be as good as new tomorrow.
Toby was a tram engine. He had cow catchers and side plates and a coach called Henrietta. Toby loved people and was always happy when he could help them out. He was such a cheerful engine that people liked to help him too. Toby and Henrietta worked on a little line near a holiday town. They worked very hard, taking trucks from the farms to the main line, but they had very few passengers.
It's not fair at all.
I can't understand it. Sometimes the people on the buses laughed at Toby and called him old-fashioned. This made Toby cross. Toby, oh Toby, show them what you can do. The world's much nicer whenever we see you. Toby, dear Toby, there's so much to learn from you. Oldies but goldies, we still care about you. One day, a car stopped nearby, and two children jumped out. Still care for you.
Come on, Bridget.
Come on,
grandfather. Do look at this engine.
That's a tram engine, Stephen.
Is it electric?
Whoosh! Hissed Toby crossly.
Shh. You've offended him.
But trams are electric, aren't they?
They are mostly, but this is a steam tram.
May we go in it, Grandfather? Please?
The guard, surprised, opened his mouth and the whistle fell out. While he was picking it up, they all scrambled into Henrietta.
Hip hip hooray!
Toby did not sing. Electric indeed, he snorted. He was very hurt. The stout gentleman and his family got out at the junction, but waited for Toby to take them back to their car.
What's your name?
Toby, sir.
Thank you, Toby, for a very nice ride.
Thank you, sir. This gentleman, he thought, is a gentleman who knows how to speak to engines. As time passed, Toby and Henrietta had fewer and fewer trucks to take to the main line. The children came every day for a fortnight. Sometimes they rode with the guard, sometimes in empty trucks, and on the last day of all, the driver invited them into his cab. All were sorry when they had to go away. Stephen and Bridget said thank you to Toby, his driver, his fireman, and the guard. The stout gentleman gave them all a present. Come again soon.
We will,
called the children, and they waved till Toby was out of sight. The months passed. Toby had few trucks and fewer passengers.
Our last day, Toby. The manager says we must close tomorrow.
That day, Henrietta had more passengers than she could manage. They rode in the trucks and crowded in the brake van. And the guard hadn't enough tickets to go round. The passengers joked and sang, but Toby and his driver wished they wouldn't.
Goodbye, Toby. We are sorry your line is closing down.
So am I, said Toby sadly. The last passenger left the station, and Toby puffed slowly to his shed. Nobody wants me, he thought, and went unhappily to sleep. There is a line to a quarry at the end of Thomas's branch. It goes for some distance along the road. Thomas was always very careful here in case anyone was coming. Early one morning there was no one on the road, but a large policeman was sitting on the grass close to the line. He was shaking a stone from his boot. Thomas liked policemen. He had been a great friend of the constable who used to live in the village, but he had just retired. Thomas expected that the new constable would be friendly too. Beep, beep, he whistled. Good morning. The policeman jumped and dropped his boot. He scrambled up and hopped round on one leg till he was facing Thomas. Thomas was sorry to see that he didn't look friendly at all. He was red in the face and very cross.
Disgraceful! I didn't sleep a wink last night. It was so quiet, and now engines come whistling suddenly behind me.
I'm sorry, sir. I only said good morning.
Where is your cow catcher?
But I don't catch cows, sir.
Don't be funny. No side plates either.
Engines going on public roads must have their wheels covered and a cow catcher in front to protect people and animals from being dragged under the wheels if they stray onto the line. You haven't, so you are dangerous.
Rubbish! We've been along here hundreds of times and there's never been an accident.
That makes it worse.
Thomas puffed sadly away. The Fat Controller was having breakfast. He was eating toast and marmalade. He had the newspaper open in front of him, and his wife had just given him some more coffee. The butler knocked and came in.
Excuse me, sir. Thomas is in trouble with the police. You must go at once.
Bother that telephone. I am sorry, my dear. Thomas is in trouble with the police and I must go at once.
At the junction, Thomas's driver told the Fat Controller what had happened.
Dangerous to the public, indeed. We'll see about that.
The policeman was on the platform at the other end. The Fat Controller spoke to him at once, and a crowd collected to listen. Other policemen came to see what was happening, and the Fat Controller argued with them too. But it was no good.
The law is the law, and we can't change it. I'm sorry. It's no use arguing with policemen. We will have to make those cowcatcher things for Thomas, I suppose.
Everyone will laugh, sir, said Thomas sadly. They'll say I look like a tramp. The Fat Controller stared. Then he laughed.
Well done, Thomas. Why didn't I think of it before? We want a tram engine. When I was on my holiday, I met a nice little engine called Toby. He hasn't enough work to do, and he needs a change. I'll write to his controller at once.
And he woke with a start to see his fireman dancing a jig outside. His driver, excited, waved a piece of paper.
Wake up, Toby. Listen to this. It's a letter from the stout gentleman.
You have brought Henrietta with you.
You don't mind, do you, sir? The station master wanted to use her as a hen house, and that would never do.
No, indeed. We couldn't allow that.
Toby made the trucks behave even better than Thomas did. At first, Thomas was jealous, but he was so pleased when Toby rang his bell and made the policemen jump that they have been firm friends ever since. Toby and Henrietta take the workmen to the quarry every morning. At the junction, they often meet James. Toby and Henrietta were shabby when they first came and needed new paint. James was very rude. Ugh, what dirty objects. James, why are you red? I am a splendid engine, ready for anything. You never see my paint dirty. Oh, that's why you once needed bootlaces to be ready, I suppose? James went redder than ever and snorted off. At the end of the line, James left his coaches and got ready for his next train. It was a slow goods, stopping at every station to pick up and set down trucks. James hated slow goods trains. Dirty trucks from dirty sidings. Starting with only a few, he picked up more and more trucks at each station, till he had a long train. At first, the trucks behaved well, but James bumped them so crossly that they determined to pay him out. Presently, rumbling over the viaduct, they approached the top of Gordon's Hill. Heavy goods trains halt here to pin down their brakes. James had had an accident with trucks before and should have remembered this.
Wait, James, wait!
But James wouldn't wait. He was too busy thinking what he would say to Toby when they next met. Too late, he saw where he was and tried to stop.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
Laughed the trucks, and banging their buffers, they pushed them down the hill. The guard tightened his brakes until they screamed.
On! On! On!
Yelled the trucks. I've got to stop, I've got to stop, groaned James, and setting his brakes, he managed to check the truck's mad rush, but they were still going much too fast to stop in time.
Through the station they thundered and lurched into the yard. James shut his eyes. There was a bursting crash, and something sticky splashed all over him. He had run into 2 tar wagons and was black from smokebox to cab. James was more dirty than hurt, but the tar wagons and some of the trucks were all to pieces. The breakdown train was in the yard, and they soon tidied up the mess. Toby and Percy were sent to help, and came as quickly as they could. Look here, Percy. Whatever is that dirty object? That's James, didn't you know? It's James's shade, but James is a splendid red engine, and you never see his paint dirty. James shut his eyes and pretended he hadn't heard. The Fat Controller was enjoying hot porridge for breakfast. He was looking forward to taking important visitors on a tour of the railway and had pressed his special trousers.
I shall put them in my trunk and change into them just before the photographs are taken.
Then he set off to catch his train. Percy was now working hard. His fire was burning nicely and he had plenty of steam. But he still thought about scarves. He saw them everywhere he went. My funnel's cold, my funnel's cold. I want a scarf, I want a scarf.
Rubbish, Percy. Engines don't wear scarves.
Engines with proper funnels do. You've only got a small one. Before Henry could answer, Percy puffed away. Henry snorted. He was looking forward to pulling the special train. It was time for the photographs. Everyone was excited. The Fat Controller was waiting on the platform for his trousers. They were in a trunk amongst a big load of baggage. The porters were taking the baggage trolley across the line. They were walking backwards to see that nothing fell off. Percy was still being cheeky. His driver always shut off steam just outside the station. Percy wanted to surprise the coaches by coming in as quietly as he could. But the porters didn't hear him either. Boxes and bags burst everywhere. Oh! groaned Percy. Sticky streams of jam trickled down Percy's face. A top hat hung on his lamp iron. Worst of all, a pair of trousers coiled lovingly round his funnel. Everyone was very angry. The Fat Controller seized the top hat.
Percy, look at this.
Yes, sir, I am, sir.
My best trousers, too.
Yes, sir, please, sir.
We must pay the passengers for their spoiled clothes, and my trousers are ruined. I hope this will teach you not to play tricks with the coaches.
Percy went off to the yard. He felt very silly. On the way, he met James. Hello, Percy, so you found the scarf, eh? But legs go in trousers, not funnels. And he puffed away to tell Henry the news. Edward, the blue engine, was getting old. His bearings were worn, and he clanked as he puffed along. He was taking 20 empty cattle trucks to a market town. The sun shone, the birds sang, and some cows grazed in a field by the line.
Come on, come on, come on.
Oh! Edward puffed and clanked. The trucks rattled and screamed. The cows were not used to trains. The noise and smoke disturbed them. They twitched up their tails and ran. They galloped across the field, broke through the fence, and charged the train between the 13th and 14th trucks. The coupling broke and the last 7 trucks left the rails. They were not damaged and stayed upright. They ran for a short way along the sleepers before stopping. Edward felt a jerk, but didn't take much notice.
He was used to trucks.
Bother those trucks. Why can't they come quietly? Oh.
He ran on to the next station before either he or his driver realized what had happened. When Gordon and Henry heard about the accident, they laughed and laughed.
Oh dear, fancy allowing cows to break his train. They wouldn't dare do that to us, would they? We'd show them.
Edward pretended not to mind, but Toby was cross. You couldn't help it, Edward. They've never met cows. I have, and I know the trouble they are. Some days later, Gordon rushed through Edward's station.
Mind the cows, mind the cows, mind the cows, mind the cows.
They rumbled over the viaduct and roared through the next station. A long, straight stretch of line lay ahead. In the distance was a bridge. It had high parapets each side. It seemed to Gordon that there was something on the bridge. His driver thought so too.
Whoa, Gordon,
he said, and shut off steam.
Oh, it's only a cow. Go on, shoo, shoo, shoo.
But the cow wouldn't shoo. She had lost her calf and felt lonely. Moo, she said sadly, walking towards him. Gordon stopped. His driver, fireman, and some passengers tried to send her away, but she wouldn't go, so they gave it up.
What's this? A cow? I'll soon settle her. Be off! Be off! I don't want to hurt her.
Drivers, firemen, and passengers again tried to move the cow, but failed. Henry's guard went back and put detonators on the line to protect his train. At the nearest station, he told them about the cow.
That must be Bluebell. Her calf is here, looking for her mother. Percy will take her along.
So they unloaded the calf and took it to the bridge. Moo, moo, wailed the calf. Moo, moo, bellowed Bluebell. She nuzzled her calf happily, and the porter led them away. Every afternoon, Thomas the Tank Engine puffs along his branch line with Annie and Clarabel. First, they pass the watermill. Next, they come to a big farm. Then, they can see a bridge with a village nestled either side of it. This is a special place. Whenever children hear Thomas coming along, they stand on the bridge waving until he is out of sight. One day, Thomas was waiting at the junction when a bus came into the yard. Hello, who are you?
I'm Bertie. Who are you?
I'm Thomas. I run this line.
So you're Thomas. Ah, I remember now. You stuck in the snow. I took your passengers and Terence pulled you out. I've come to help you with your passengers today.
Oh dear, we are late. Where is Thomas? He doesn't usually make us wait.
Oh dear, what can the matter be? Johnny's so long at...
Never you mind about Johnny. Just you climb on the cab and look for Thomas. Can you see him?
No.
We can't wait here all day. Look again, Sid. Can you see him?
No. There's Bertie Bus in a tearing hurry. No need to bother with him, though. Likely he's on a coach tour or something.
Stop! Stop! Wailed Bertie, roaring into the yard. But it was no good. Edward's last coach had disappeared into the tunnel.
Bother Thomas's fireman not coming to work today. Oh, why did I promise to help the passengers catch the train?
That'll do, Bertie. A promise is a promise, and we must keep it.
I'll catch Edward or bust. Oh my gears and axe! I'll never be the same bus again. Toot 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 toot! I see him! Hooray! Hooray!
He cheered as he reached the top of the hill.
He's reached the station. No, he stopped by a signal. Hooray! Hooray!
Well done, Bertie. Go it, Bertie. Go it, Bertie.
Hens and dogs scattered in all directions as he raced through the village. Wait! Wait! He tooted, skidding into the yard. He was just in time to see the signal drop. The guard wave his flag and Edward puff out of the station. His passengers rushed to the platform, but it was no good. And they came bustling back.
I'm sorry.
Never mind,
Bertie.
Answer
quickly. Third time lucky, you know. Do you think we'll catch him at the next station, driver?
Well, there's a good chance. Our road keeps close to the line, and we can climb hills better than Edward. But here, wait a minute. I'll just make sure and have a word with the station master.
This hill is too steep. This hill is too steep.
Grumbled the coaches as Edward snorted in front. They reached the top at last and ran smoothly into the station.
Come along, please. Get in quickly, please.
The porters and people hurried, and Edward impatiently waited to start. Peep! Whistled the guard, and Edward's driver looked back. But the flag didn't wave. There was a distant toot, toot, and the station master, running across, snatched the green flag out of the guard's hand. Then everything seemed to happen at once. Toot, 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 bellowed Bertie. His passengers poured onto the platform and scrambled into the train. The station master told the guard and driver what had happened.
I'm sorry about the chase, Bertie. Very sorry.
My fault. Late at junction. You didn't know about Thomas's passengers?
That's all right, Bertie. That's all right. Well, goodbye, Bertie. We're off now.
The Fat Controller arrived. I'm going to change your timetable so that you and Bertie can work together more. Later, Thomas spoke to Bertie. Thank you for looking after my passengers. Bertie, said Thomas, you're a very good friend indeed.
Wake up, Gordon. A special train's coming and we're to pull it.
Special train? Is it coaches or trucks?
Trucks.
Oh, trucks. I don't like trucks.
So Gordon had to spend his time pulling trucks. Good strains, he muttered. He felt his position deeply. That's for you, and you, and you, Gordon said crossly.
Oh, 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 oh!
Screamed the trucks as he shunted them about the yard. Trucks will be trucks.
Ah, well, not with me they won't. Not with me, huh? I'll teach them. Go on.
And another truck scurried away.
They tried to push me down the hill this morning, James. It's slippery there. You'll probably need some help with the express, you know.
I don't need help on hills. Gordon laughed and got ready for his next train.
James went away to take the express. Slippery hills indeed, he snorted. I don't need help. Come on, he puffed. All in good time, grumbled the coaches. The train was soon running nicely, but a distant signal checked them close to Gordon's Hill. Gordon's Hill used to be bleak and bare. Strong winds from the sea made it hard to climb. Trees were planted to give shelter, and in summer the trains run through a leafy avenue. Now autumn had come, and dead leaves fell. The wind usually puffed them away, but today rain made them heavy, and they did not move. The home signal showed clear, and James began to go faster. He started to climb the hill. I'll do it, he puffed confidently. Halfway up, he was not so sure. I must do it, he panted desperately. But try as he would, his wheels slipped on the leaves, and he couldn't pull the train at all. What's the matter? He gasped. Steady, old boy, steady, soothed his driver. His fireman put sand on the rails to help him grip, but James's wheels spun so fast that they only ground the sand and leaves to slippery mud, making things worse than before. The train slowly stopped. Then, help, 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 whistled James. For though his wheels were turning forwards, the heavy coaches pulled him backwards, and the whole train started slipping down the hill. His driver shut off steam, carefully put on the brakes, and skillfully stopped the train. Phew! He sat down and mopped his face. So the guard warned the signalman, and they brought the train safely down. But Gordon, who had followed with a goods train, saw what had happened. Gordon left his trucks and crossed over to James.
Hello, James. I thought you could climb hills. Ah, well, James, we live and learn, don't we? We live and learn. Never mind, little James. I'm going to push behind. Now look, whistle when you're ready.
James waited till he had plenty of steam. Then peep, peep, he called. Poop, poop, poop. Pull hard, puffed Gordon. We'll do it, puffed James. Pull hard, we'll do it, the engines puffed together. Clouds of smoke and steam towered from the snorting engines as they struggled up the hill. We can do it, puffed James. We will do it, puffed Gordon.
So blow your gears and woes, behind you start a brand new day. Nothing can stop you reaching your goal. If you're determined, you can do it. You will find a way. You will find a way. So never, never, never give up, even though you're feeling rough. If at first you don't succeed, never, never, never give up. Some things seem impossible. Answers hard to find. No matter how improbable, you won't know until you try. You can do whatever you choose. It just takes a little luck. So remember, never, never, never give up.
The greasy rails sometimes made Gordon's wheels slip, but he never gave up. And presently, they reached the top. We've done it! We've done it! They puffed. Gordon stopped. Poop, poop, he whistled. Goodbye. Peep, 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 peep. Thank you. Goodbye, answered James. Gordon watched the coaches wistfully till they were out of sight. Then slowly he trundled back to his waiting trucks. The stations on the line were being painted. The engines were surprised.
The Queen's coming.
The engines in their shed were excited and wondered who would pull the royal train.
Well, I'm too old to pull important trains.
Well, I'm in disgrace. The Fat Controller would never choose me.
You'll choose me, of course.
You can't climb hills. He will ask me to pull the train, and I'll have a new coat of paint.
The days passed. Henry puffed about proudly, quite sure that he would be the royal engine. One day when it rained, his driver and fireman stretched a tarpaulin from the cab to the tender to keep themselves dry. Henry puffed into the big station. A painter was climbing a ladder above the line. Henry's smoke puffed upwards. It was thick and black. The painter choked and couldn't see. He missed his footing on the ladder, dropped his paint pot, and fell plop onto Henry's tarpaulin. The paint poured over Henry's boiler and trickled down each side. The paint pot perched on his dome. The painter clambered down and shook his brush at Henry.
You spoil my clean paint with your dirty smoke, and then you take the whole lot and make me go fetch some more.
The fat controller pushed through the crowd.
You look like an ice cake, Henry. That won't do for the royal train. I must make other arrangements.
He walked over to the yard. Gordon and Thomas saw him coming and both began to speak.
Please, sir, but I was thinking...
One at a time. Yes, Gordon.
Well, sir, I just wanted to ask you if Thomas could have his branch line back again.
Well, Thomas.
Please, sir, can Gordon pull coaches now?
I think you are both very sorry and deserve a treat. Edward will go in front to clear the line. Thomas will look after the coaches, and Gordon will pull the train.
The great day came. All the engines worked hard, bringing people to the town. Thomas sorted out their coaches in the yard. They're coming. Edward steamed in, looking smart with flags and bright paint. 2 minutes passed. 5, 7, 10. Poop, poop. Everyone knew that whistle, and a mighty cheer went up as the Queen's train glided into the station. Gordon was spotless, and his brass shone. Like Edward, he was decorated with flags. But on his buffer beam, he proudly carried the royal arms. The Queen was met by the fat controller, and before doing anything else, she thanked him for their splendid run. Not at all, Your Majesty, he said. Thank you. We have read, said the Queen to the fat controller, a great deal about your engines. May we see them, please? So he led the way to where all the engines were waiting. Peep, peep, whistled Toby and Percy. They're coming. Shh, 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 hissed Henry and James, but Toby and Percy were too excited to care. The fat controller told the Queen their names, and she talked to each engine. Then she turned to go. Percy bubbled over. 3 cheers for the Queen, he called. Peep, 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 whistled all the engines. The fat controller held his ears, but the Queen, smiling, waved to the engines till she passed the gate. Next day, the Queen spoke specially to Thomas, who fetched her coaches, and to Edward and Gordon, who took her away. And no engines ever felt prouder than Thomas and Edward and Gordon the big engine.